All right, let's officially start here. Thank you all for being here and welcome. Welcome to this candidate forum for the Dallas College Board of Trustees election that will be held in May. I appreciate your interest and your arrival. If you have questions for the candidates, you probably have heard this, but we have index cards back there. We'd like you to write the questions down and put them in the box, and I'll get them, and I'll be the one who actually asks all the questions. That's okay. Before we get started with the actual forum, I'd like to introduce Dr. Kay Eggleston, president of Richland campus of Dallas College, to say a few welcome words.
Thank you, Patrick. Goodness, you're much taller. Thank you, Patrick. I'm delighted to welcome you to Richland campus this afternoon and to see a large crowd, which is so important. You know, every day we're reminded that it is truly a privilege to live in a democracy. And that isn't something we can take for granted. We need to have engaged and enlightened individuals who are willing to run for public office, and we need to have an engaged and enlightened citizenry who can make decisions about the power of their vote. And so I think it's so fitting for us to spend time together, to listen to our candidates, to see such an array of really dedicated individuals to the community, and to have members of our community here to listen and to then be able to make informed decisions in their voting in May. It's my honor to have you attend here today at Richland campus, and I look forward to a very exciting interchange today. We are here today because of the Dallas College Faculty Association and the Richland Campus Faculty Association. And Professor of Government Patrick Moore will be at the podium today, and he will be asking the questions of all of the candidates. So without further ado, Patrick.
Okay, I guess I should have introduced myself, sorry. I know myself, so that's good enough for me. Okay, so as Kay just said, this is an event sponsored by the Dallas College Faculty Association and the Richland Campus Faculty Association, and we really appreciate y'all's participation and all the candidates who are here to speak to us and let us know what the qualifications are. We really appreciate it. So the format today is I will do a very brief introduction of each of the candidates, and then I will ask each of them to say just a very, very brief, one paragraph, elevator speech is what I'm looking for, about your qualifications. And then I will go through the questions that we have. I have a couple of questions myself, and I have some other questions written down here. I hope that as the conversation proceeds, if you think of questions, you will go write them down and bring them up, or bring them up here. That would be great, so you have more questions. And then I don't think any of these questions are going to be necessarily directed at any particular candidate, so each candidate will have the opportunity to answer each of the questions. And so, you know, in the interest of time, should I just let y'all introduce yourselves? Okay, that's popular. Nobody wants to listen to Patrick talk. Okay. All right. Why don't we just do that? Why don't we just start right here on this end, and you just introduce yourself. All that time I spent writing these introductions, wasted. It's okay.
Patrick was looking. Do I need this? Patrick
Yes.
was looking at me when he said brief. You know, chamber people have the reputation of talking a lot. What I hope to do today is communicate. I'm Paul Mayer, running for Board of Trustees District 3, which is Garland, Rowlett, Sachse, Sunnyvale, and a little bit of East Dallas. For 33 years in Garland, I've been the CEO of the Garland Chamber of Commerce, which is an economic development organization. And the way I define economic development is precisely what you all do every day. It's getting people ready to go to work. And, we live and thrive based on the success that you have in the classroom. So that's why I'm doing this. That's who I am. That's as short as I can do it.
That's perfect. Perfect. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. Pleasure to be here. Thank you. My name is Phil Ritter, and I'm the incumbent in District 2, and I'm running for a second 6-year term. I'm an attorney by training. I've worked in various places, including Texas Instruments, DFW Airport, the Meadows Mental Health Policy Institute, Greenlight Technology Company, and I've been involved in community colleges for close to 30 years. I began my service to community college as a board member of the Dallas County Community College District Foundation, where I was involved in fundraising for the Rising Star program and other things. And I've also served as chairman of the 2003 bond campaign for the Dallas County Community College District, which is responsible for many of the facilities that we enjoy here on Richland campus. So 6 years ago, I decided to run as an elected trustee, and I look forward to describing my reasons for doing so during the course of this debate. Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon. Gene Robinson is my name. I've got Phil's experience beat by 15 years. I started my collegiate career right here at Richland, right upstairs in the former Sabine Hall. I did a year of undergraduate work here at Richland before moving on. I've also been a student at Brookhaven. And then after that, I went back and got my master's degree and came back and taught in the community college district for 23 years. I taught for an extensive teaching career at Brookhaven, also at Richland here. I taught here for 7 years in the ESL program. I enjoyed those experiences a lot, mostly. And I've come back now. I left those positions in 2014. I'm in the ranching and oil business now. But I came back to run for this position the second time. I ran in 2016 also, but I came back for this reason. In 2016, I stood in front of the audience here in the former Sabine Hall, and I addressed the I addressed the professional support staff, and I said, I'm one of you, and the administration has turned against you. They're trying to lay you off. They're trying to take away your jobs, cut your salaries, and you need to vote for me. Well, faculty wasn't really involved at that time. Faculty was still kind of supporting administration at that time. Well, here we are in 2022. Welcome to my world, folks. Okay, so now you're in the same game. You're in the same boat. The administration has their gun sights set on you now. And so I'm running for this position to straighten the situation out and support education versus corporate raiding, illegal spending, corruption, and terrible administrative decision from the top down.
Good afternoon. I'm Gretchen Minyard-Williams, and I'm currently the trustee for District 1. I was appointed, I was asked last August if I was interested and put my application in. It was one of 8 that applied for this district position, was selected and sworn in November. And I am honored to continue my husband's legacy as far as working with Dallas College since 2006. I've been very familiar with Dallas College, things that have happened, the consolidation, all these different things that has gone on to make Dallas College stronger and better. My background is Minyard Food Stores. That's my family. Customer service. I have over 30 years experience in the community. Volunteers, community service, different boards, chambers, just always in the community. My family's very strong on that, and I want to continue to serve the city of Dallas. I was born and raised here. I invest in Dallas, and I want to keep this legacy going on. Dallas College does wonderful things, and it's all about our students and success, our faculty and administration, and making everyone a success that's there in their jobs.
Hello, is it on? Okay. Hello, my name is Dr. Catalina Garcia. I've been involved with the community college district since there was a Dr. Lassiter, right, Lassiter downtown. I was on his advisory committee, one of the first advisory committees involved with the school. So I have long knowledge of what's been happening within the school. As a practicing physician, I was involved in dealing with the nurses that they trained at El Centro and was absolutely flabbergasted at what a fantastic job was being done there. I really thought they were the best trained nurses in the city. From there, just admiring the nurses, I got involved with students. Part of the reasons I think I should run for this office, and I think I'm perfect for it, is I have more in common with the students. I'm a first-generation born American. My family was not wealthy. I started working at 14 in order to stay in school. That was my only purpose for working after school and on the weekend. Education has always been the center of my life. I've continued then mentoring young people and hiring young people on Saturdays and in my office, teaching them not really clerical skills. What I was teaching them is how to speak, how to walk, how to dress, what was important in life, and tried to be a mentor that they could learn from so that they would be successful in their future careers. In addition to that, I have 40 years of board service. I served on the Texas State Board of Medical Examiners, I served on a Medicare committee, and I've served on the doc board. I understand business. I've run my own businesses in addition to being a physician. I believe that I am the best person for this job just because my life has been so varied. I have been involved in every aspect that is required of a trustee. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for having us. I'm encouraged that we get to have this conversation. This is a good opportunity. My name is Lynn Davenport, and first and foremost, I'm a parent, and I have adult children. One is still, he's a senior in high school, and the other two have actually taken courses here at Richland that transferred to their four-year university. I am a public school proponent, and I have worked for the last, I would say, almost decade fighting against privatization efforts where they're trying to come in and really it's just a profit center they view our public school children as. The same thing is happening at the higher ed level, and I'm seeing some of the same initiatives and the same people involved behind the scenes, which is why I've been engaged in what is happening here at Dallas College. I have a podcast, it's called Social Impact with Lynn Davenport, and I talk about K-12 and higher ed issues. I actually had Gene Robinson on last fall before we hadn't thought about running, and talked about some of the things happening here at Dallas College. And so I think that's pretty much it. I'm ready to get started on our
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Thank you to all of you. Let's see here. I've got several questions, and once again, I'd love to see some more questions, but I'll just start out right here. As a faculty member, I see every day the cost of students who come from economically disadvantaged backgrounds. Dallas College and Richland campus of Dallas College have made a lot of progress, perhaps, in dealing with the problems, helping students deal with the problems that come with being from an economically disadvantaged background. Dallas Promise and Include Ed and some of these other programs. How effectively do you think the Dallas district or the Dallas College has been in working with students from economically disadvantaged backgrounds, and what would you do to improve the way Dallas College helps all students succeed? And I think we'll just start on this end for this question and go down the row, and then the next question will start at the other end and come this way. Okay?
In short terms, short answer to the question, I think that Dallas College does an exceptional job of focusing on all the needs of students, not just the financial needs. But I was at a forum recently and I listened to our chancellor talk about wraparound services. And it's not just tuition costs, it's transportation costs, it's food, it's clothing. I've seen that on the campuses where whatever the student needs, and putting classrooms closer to folks so that we mitigate the transportation issue and mitigate the gap issue. So again, I haven't served on the board, I haven't seen the finances, but I've seen the evidence of that. I've seen students, I've seen the grants programs, we have a program, a cohort with our Dallas Fame program. It's a 2-year pre-engineering program getting people to be advanced manufacturing technicians. Tuition was covered, and also the other wraparound services in terms of whatever it takes to get the student there. So my sense is, I think to answer your question, that we're doing a good job. Can we do better? I think that's always the opportunity for continuous improvement. So it's when you're student-centric, when you're in a classroom and you listen to students and you look at it every day, you know what they need. And I think, and I'll know more if I'm sitting with Dr. Reverend. Is it Reverend or Doctor?
Neither, actually. But that's good.
Old trick in chamber, if you don't remember someone's name, you just call them a doctor or a reverend, and then you get by. Anyway, we're doing
Thank you.
good.
I think these programs have been very well implemented and have been one of the keys to the success of Dallas College and one of the most important things that we've ever done for the students of our community. For the past few years, the board, pursuant to our strategic plan, has been constructing what we call the Career Connected Learning Network. And what this involves is partnerships with ISDs, Dallas College, upper division universities, and then employers, so that we can take the friction out of our students progressing wherever they want to go, whether it's higher education after Dallas College or straight on into the workplace. These programs are in high demand. Our students love them, our parents love them. When I got on the board, we had a couple thousand students in these programs. We've got over 17,000 students who are now involved in these programs. And back in 2019, we put a bond proposal, a $1.1 billion bond proposal to the voters, and we asked them to approve it. They did so with over 71% of the vote. And roughly $300 million of that bond program is dedicated to creating additional capacity to expand these programs and better meet the demand that's out there for these programs. Last thing I'll say is that as trustees, you get to do a lot of cool things. Coolest thing that I've done is participate in graduation from Richland College. The last time it was in person, we had about, thank you Dr. Egerson for the invitation, we had about 900 students walk across the stage. Roughly 200 of them had stoles that said, early college, high school, P-Tech, Dallas County Promise students. And these are the smartest, most persistent kids you can imagine because they're graduating with a high school degree, they can go on to college, they can go on to the workplace, and they can do so without debt. You asked about the cost of the students. They can do so without debt because Dallas College underwrites their tuition. So these programs need to be expanded and continued, and they have to grow.
Okay, so let me address the $1.1 billion bond package first before I even answer the question. That bond package has never been implemented. The reason is it's been held up in court, in the Texas Supreme Court, for over 3 years by a lawsuit filed by Kirk Launius and Christian Bigum over election fraud. Okay, they alleged that Dallas County elections was not running fair elections, that they were cheating in their elections, and they proved it. And that's why it has never gone forward. Okay, the other point is that that $1.1 billion was meant to build an entirely new campus at El Centro to replace the perfectly good campus. That's a squanderous waste of money. That money could have gone back into education. It could have gone into the 1,300 employees that had been furloughed basically out of the system when it was consolidated in one campus. Okay, addressing the specific question. I think the college, the district has done a fantastic job for serving economically disadvantaged students for many, many years. I mean, they have transportation to the campuses. They're centrally located all throughout the county. The Rising Star program gives them basically free tuition for 2 years. I mean, they've got everything they need, literally. All support services, et cetera, et cetera. They used to have those. Okay, they don't have them now, because they were done away with. All right, I want to talk about the students that are not here, not the economically disadvantaged ones that are being taken care of. I'm talking about the ones that aren't here anymore. When I taught at Richland, it was, when I taught at Brookhaven, it was 55% white, 45% non-white. You know what it is now, the makeup of the district? It's 16% white. Where did those students go? Where did your ESL students go? They're not on campus anymore. They did away with the whole program. I mean, are we serving our students that way? I represent a district that's predominantly white and predominantly well-to-do. Can my district send their children to these campuses now? No, they're not welcome. They're not welcome in advertising. They're not welcome in the curriculum that's being offered. My entire program at Brookhaven, my entire foreign language program was disemboweled. It was eviscerated to get rid of those students. Guess where they went? They all went to Collin County to take classes they couldn't get at Brookhaven, and they did it to kick them off the campus and make room for the early college high school program, because that's where they wanted to put the emphasis. Not on college, on junior high and high school students. That's wrong, and it needs to be changed from the top down.
The question was economically disadvantaged.
Right.
Okay. So we have served them well, we continue to serve them well, and we have to always look for ways to help them. I've visited the food bank here. I know we have food banks on various campuses because food banks, there are hungry people in Dallas and Fort Worth, and this is a way to help them. We have the Rising Star program, different ones. Areas that we want to look at and include are offering health care and mental health care. Many have suffered through the pandemic and need that extra support or some professional or counseling to talk with. And then childcare. A lot of people can't get to class because of childcare needs. And the Bezos Foundation from Jeff Bezos, that large billionaire, that foundation is actually putting 2 childcare centers on Cedar Valley and Mountain View. So these are things that have come to help our students that have a disadvantage of not being able to attend class due to childcare. We give them the laptops. We have wonderful programs in place, and we have to continue to expand these programs. And that's part of our job as a trustee, is to use our contacts, use our people and friends to ask, what can we do to help Dallas College, help our students, help the faculty, and help the staff.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to comment on the graduation rate. Do you know what the graduation rate is here? 9%. That's from the college scoreboard of the Department of Education. I'm glad that people are graduating, but 9% of the enrollment, that really is not what I had in mind when I thought I wanted to support a community college. These young people that we're talking about might not have been able to keep working. We have 61% against from the college scoreboard that withdrew from the school. Why did they leave? Did anybody do an exit interview to find out if there was some way we could ameliorate the situation? Obviously not. That has not been done. So much money has been spent on consulting and on non-disclosure agreements. I was going to say rewarding people for leaving. That we have wasted. We could be giving these young people free tuition for the amount of money that was spent on consulting that didn't function as it was supposed to be expected. One of the things that happened was, I understand, scheduling, and not just students, but classes and professors, was in shambles until it was brought back to each individual school as it had been originally. There's so many changes that happened that have made chaos on the campus, so that professors don't trust each other anymore, so that the camaraderie was there, totally based on let's get these students educated and up, has not been continued. One of the things that I think I would like to do is have more involvement with the business community and those students that are in need. They need the kind of role model, the kind of part-time job, the kind of involvement that will give them that hope for the future. I know I worked my way through college working for the city county coroner. That was a really good program that was just individually based. We could do that kind of thing here, and we are not. Thank you.
Well, okay, so I would agree that we are doing a lot to help the students, and I think that's an area that there's a strength. I would say, to piggyback on what you said, it's $30 million. So they paid $18 million to consultants and $12 million to lay off faculty. And they made them sign a non-disclosure so they wouldn't talk about it. So think about what we could have done with that $30 million, right? And then as one thing I did not mention in the beginning is that for 11 years, I worked with unemployed people as a volunteer, mentoring, helping them navigate the whole job process, resumes, interviewing, networking. I think that is something that is very important, especially to economically disadvantaged students, to give them tools and a direction, kind of map things out so where they can but that's not my role as a trustee, but I do believe that that's something that's important. And then Dallas County Promise was mentioned. So the thing that needs to happen is not to expand these programs, but to audit and evaluate them, because that part's not happening. Whether it's the dual credit, the early college high schools, it's only cheerleaders we hear out there. Only celebrations, they don't talk about the pros and cons, the unintended consequences. The unintended consequence is that the college has focused so much on young people who are not even adults yet that it has supplanted what should be an academic institution for adults. And so I think we need a balance there, and that I'm not finding that. And then on the Bezos thing, can the faculty use that childcare? Because I've heard that the faculty used to be able to take advantage of the childcare system that was on campus. And if you do your research on who Bezos is and what he's going to do with those pre-K centers, you understand the pre-K to gray is the system that they're creating. They want early access to early childhood, and those children are actually, those are going to be data points for another, for a scheme that we can talk about that another day.
Okay, thank you very much. One thing I didn't say at the beginning that I should have, and that is that we have another candidate here, or I guess she's not really a candidate anymore, Monica Lira Bravo, who's currently on the board right here, is not up here participating because she was unopposed, and so the Dallas College canceled her election, so she's not even having to run. So I just thought I would introduce her too as a member of the board who's here, but not participating on the panel. So.
Monica scared all her opponents away.
Right, terrifying. Okay, thank you. All right, I have a couple of questions here that I'm going to combine. What is your position on public safety measures in the college in the event of a potential future spike in COVID cases? Is another vaccine incentive payment an option? And in the same vein, what about mask mandates, vaccine mandates? Does Dallas College have a role in that? And if so, what is it?
Okay, so vaccine mandates, I think that's up to the individual. I don't like the idea of using federal funds, state funds, or local funds to bribe students or faculty to take the vaccines. I think that's a personal choice that you can make. During the pandemic, at the county level, I believe that the CARES money should have been spent to target vulnerable communities, and I think instead the money was used. I know Clay Jenkins was trying to steer jobs to a couple of his buddies, and so I called attention to that, and luckily the Commissioner's Court voted that down. But the CARES money, I believe, should have been at the campus level and at the county level. I think that should have been to help people understand how to use preventive care, to be able to access treatment, to be able to get ahead of it, rather than just the talking points. Wash your hands, social distance, wear a mask. Well, that doesn't have anything to do with actual health care and preventive care and what builds the immune system. And I think masks are a personal choice. If you want to wear one, I think you should be able to wear one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dr.
Yes.
Garcia?
I live by a principle called the common good. And as a physician, that means we get vaccinated when it's proven that that vaccine is needed by the public. Many of us are alive because we did not get chickenpox or mumps or some of the other diseases that used to kill all our children. If you visit an old cemetery, look at the tombstones, the ages. It hurts. They were all children who fell ill under illnesses that didn't have vaccines at the time. We need to use the medical knowledge that we have. I believe that that's why the Lord gave us a brain, to think things through logically and try to understand that we have a responsibility, not just for ourselves, but the rest of the people around us. I think I should try to protect my neighbor if I can. I don't believe that my freedom should push against their freedom. I think together we can work for the common good. So I feel that the college ought to be involved in whatever the physicians, the health agencies send out to us. It's very important to follow the rules. You know, rules came up because there were societies that were clashing all the time. So people started making laws and figuring out what was the way society should be. And they came up with government. And government is really for the common good. And I'm just talking in general about the laws. And you know, we all learn to stop at the stop sign. Is that really taking over my rights? Or is it the common good? I'm not gonna hit the next guy who's coming the other direction. I believe we need to function again as we used to when we had standards. The common good is good for all of us. Thank you.
I feel that mask and vaccine mandates are important, but it is individual rights that's on there. Some of us have masks on, some of us don't. And I feel that is your individual right as a person. I've had my vaccines. My son, I have a 17-year-old son that's in school. He had his vaccines by choice. He chose to do this. It was not forced. So it is important to keep healthy and to stay others healthy. I have family members who chose not to be vaccinated, and that's their choice. I will say that when this all changed over in March of 2020, Dallas College had more than 85% of the classes online, I believe, in about a week. And that was an amazing, nimble move to try to have the least interruption as possible. So they met the need to try and meet as much as they can on classes. There were a few labs that were in person that couldn't be done, that's what I understand. But we are trying to meet the needs of our students, our faculty, and our staff to keep them safe. Also, I think Richland and Brookhaven were vaccination centers. And so they serve the community there to let people come here and get their vaccines if they choose. Again, this was all if you choose that's on there. So I think public safety, of course, is the utmost importance. And healthcare and health is important. I serve on the Baylor Hospital Board for over 30 years. And we hear reports and information on how many people were vaccinated versus non-vaccinated that survived and didn't survive. So it was very much eye-opening on what can happen that's there. But everyone has individual systems, individual beliefs, and you know, it's your right as an individual.
Gosh, wow. I wish that the community college district had masking mandates in place during the never-ending flu epidemics that we got hit with every single year heretofore. When half of our student population was out sick and everybody was catching the flu, why wasn't health concern of an issue back then? I think we all have a very, very short memory about these things. To be honest with you, I'm totally against mask mandates and vaccine mandates of any kind. Our government and our businesses have absolutely no business telling people that you have to take an experimental vaccination if you want to keep your job. And our court systems let that go. That's not only unconstitutional and un-American, it's illegal and immoral. I mean, what are we doing as a society? You know, there's a big difference between this vaccine and the vaccines of old, right? The polio vaccine was tried and true. It inoculated you with a killed form of the vaccine, of the virus, in order to get your immune system revved up. This is not a vaccine. It is a DNA modification chemical. It was invented by the guy who runs the National Institute of Health. He did it through gain-of-function research, which is totally immoral. We now know that there are these labs all over the world the U.S. is funding. You know, and then the guy profits off the vaccine afterwards, and he's still in power. I mean, that's crazy. That's just nuts. I'm not in favor of this at all. I think that it's a much better effort. It's a much better expenditure. It's a teaching moment to train people about health, not just wash your hands and social distance. That's social alienation. Eat healthy, strengthen your immune system. Stop eating with your hands in an epidemic or a pandemic. You know, those are the things that actually transmit diseases. So, you know, it's been an awful lot of publicity. It's been an awful lot of medically induced publicity. It's been an awful lot of information that has been conscripted from the public. You know, the media hasn't promoted all the people that died from this vaccination, that have had their health severely damaged, the reactions, the lifelong paralyzation that's taken place. There have been more people injured and killed by this vaccine than all previous vaccines in the past 15 years. Does that not mean anything to you people? It should. It should.
Well, in the interest of time, I'm just going to embrace Dr. Catalina Garcia's construct about, okay, you know, there's the public interest and there's the human interest, and we got to strike the right balance. And, you know, I think that vaccines work. I think masks work. That's what the public health experts tell us, and that's, to the greatest extent possible. We should follow that, while preserving individual choice to the greatest extent that we can. So let's, in the context of Dallas College specifically, we are dealing with enrollment declines, and we are dealing with students who are not progressing the past 2 years because of the pandemic. And one of the leading reasons for students not progressing is, number one, they're scared to be back in in-person environments where they might get sick. And number two, they're dealing with their issues in their own home, managing their own families with the pandemic as well. So, the board, when this issue came up, we absolutely took some of our CARES Act dollars and created incentives for our employees and students to get vaccinated. And it wasn't impinging upon their choice as to whether to do so or not. But we thought, from a public health point of view, if there was a role the college could play to encourage people to get vaccinated and result in an improved public health environment in our community, we were going to do that, and we did it, and I think that was the right decision.
It's good to be this end of the table, and I, like Phil, Dr. Garcia, thank you for your comments. Common sense isn't so common anymore in following science, depending on how you see science. I'm vaccinated, I wear a mask, I think that's my responsibility. In a perfect world, we'd all take responsibility for each other. It's not a perfect world. To the extent that we can encourage folks, we can help folks. I mean, I'm an example of living right and eating right. I'm 72 years old and haven't had birth wood. But there's others that have a person in my office that's immune compromised, and I feel a responsibility to Rick that I do everything I can to keep him from getting sick. And I think that looking out for other folks is really where we are. Whether it's mandated or not, we'd love to have people do what the intelligent thing to do.
Thank you very much. Next question, and we'll start this end and go back down again, if that's all right. You get plenty of talking today. What is the first initiative that you would take as a trustee?
First initiative?
Right, first thing you do.
In our office, there's 7 of us, and I'm by title the CEO, which means I'm responsible for lots of things. We were defining roles at an exercise. And basically, my role as CEO was to do 3 things, all begin with the letter L. To listen, to learn, and then to lead. So my first role is to listen. There's a huge learning curve. The enormity of the job, the intricacies of everything we do. So my first thing to do is listen and learn as much as I can. Lead when it's appropriate. That's it.
Well, I'm already a trustee, so I'm going to continue to focus on a couple of key things. One is being a good steward of the taxpayer dollars, and I've had the opportunity to chair the Finance Committee and the Education and Workforce Committee. We've never raised the tax rate. We have passed 2 exemptions for the elderly and disabled property tax exemption. To benefit our elderly and disabled citizens. We have a AAA bond rating on our debt. And our board was recognized just last month by the Dallas Business Journal as the leading governance board in Dallas, primarily due to the work that we've done to turn the battleship, if you will, in implementing One College. So I want to continue to offer good governance and sound financial management to the college. Second, I represent continuity of strategy. Dallas College has been a difficult transition to make. We're a huge enterprise. We've got close to 4,000 employees, $500 million annual budget, 7 separate campuses. And when I got on the board 6 years ago, our campuses, separate campuses of Dallas College, were rated the poorest performing in the bottom quartile, by the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board in terms of our performance. That's not an acceptable situation. We had to do something. The board had to do something. And the One College strategy is the approach that we are taking to do that in order to streamline academic progression and student services for the students, because that's what this needs to be about, is for the students. And then finally, as I said earlier, I'm committed to strengthening and our career-connected learning network, our partnerships with ISDs, 4-year schools, employers, graduate schools, and also our partnerships with community organizations that can help address some of the determinants of education success, like housing and food nutrition and mental health and transportation and the other areas where there are obstacles thrown up to our students' success. I want to keep knocking those obstacles down so that our students can move forward. So that's what my next 6 years, hopefully, as trustee will represent.
Okay, well, several things actually. The first thing I would do is get rid of the entire upper echelon of administration in this district. They've made terrible decisions, they've misspent money, they have squandered money, they've made contracts where nobody knows where the money's going. Yeah, they haven't raised taxes in a while, but they come back to you for a $465 million bond issue every other year. Where's that money going? We've got declining enrollment, we have declining graduation rates. We seem to be more interested in partnering with public-private partnerships than we do putting money into education. We run off all of our college students through early college, high school programs. That's got to change. That's got to go, and it starts from the top down. I've been around this district for a long time. I work with all these people. I know all these players. Okay, I know all these players in the game down there in district headquarters. I worked with several of them directly. I knew Joe May. I worked with him directly. Two of the administrators that are in top positions down there got run off the campus at Brookhaven because they were such terrible administrators. Did they get fired? Did they lose their job? They got promoted up. And they're making the decisions for you now. Okay? This is a failure of oversight from the board down. They've all got to go. And somebody who's really interested in education needs to be brought in as the chancellor, who's going to spend money on education and not spend money on construction projects that aren't needed, or consulting groups that are not needed, or anything else that's not needed. Okay? This is supposed to be a college, and money needs to go into that education, not somewhere else.
Well, the initiatives that are currently going on, I think, need to be broadened and strengthened and continue to support those. Two specifically that I think are very important are the student success counselors. These are people that work with our kids and adults that maybe have not finished classes after the first semester or the first year and haven't finished and gotten an associate's or a certification or a baccalaureate. We have a baccalaureate program for early childhood education, as most of you know, but the next one will be nursing. So we do go out to the community, see what the needs are, and we try to answer those needs. Also, that student success has made tremendous progress in helping these young people and adults finding out through phone interviews, emails, text, in person, what is holding you back and how can we answer that need and help. So we want to see these people to succeed, and that has been a very good program for Dallas College. The other thing is growing PTEC. That is the organization or the group, I'm trying to think of the right word. The program, thank you. It's the program where a high school, we have several high schools we work with, can also get college credit, their associate's degree at the same time. And this has been a tremendous value for these young people because they get an associate's degree at no charge, and they are getting their high school diploma at the same time. So they can walk out with an associate's, they can move on to a four-year college if they choose, they can move into the workforce, they can continue with certifications. A lot of these young people, and we had one that was giving us an example of, he will now be able to earn over $50,000 a year, and his family's never seen more than $28,000. So these are tremendous things that we are helping with students, and these initiatives are strong. It's very easy to criticize programs when you're not really involved in these programs, but when you see the success of these, this means a lot to our students, because it's all about student success.
I believe one of the things that had troubled me most about the situation here is the lack of transparency. So my first initiative would be to gather the different groups that have investment in Dallas College, the students, the teaching staff, the support staff, the administrators. I want to hear from them what they think is going on and what they think should be going on, or how things can be improved. I don't believe any of us know the whole story. because the board certainly wouldn't have gone along with some of these changes had they known what was happening. I'm convinced of that. One of the second initiatives I would do, besides being about, business needs to be brought in. We are training people to work in the 20th century. That makes no sense. We need to program people and teach them things that they're going to be able to use in the future. An entry-level job is not progress. It is going to just stagnate the economy. 90% of the people who finish here stay in Texas and Dallas County. It's very important that they keep their jobs and progress in their jobs. And one of the things that's happening that's being dropped is basic English knowledge. People should not leave this college without passing a sort of bottom line exam, because you cannot write program if you don't read and write English correctly. You cannot do anything if you don't read and write English correctly, because the changes that are happening in technology, even in the trades, is amazing. It's exciting, and I'm glad, but we are not preparing for the future. And that's really what I think is important. That's why business has to be a part of this. A business involved in internships and maybe hiring some of these young people that have tremendous jobs. I didn't like emptying bedpans as a nurse's aide. I didn't like it at all, but it was a job that got me the bus fare, that got me the eating, that got me the clothes I could wear to school. That's what these young people need, basics. And so I would like to see that implemented. Thank you.
Well, I mentioned before, I believe the first thing I would do as a trustee is audit and evaluate the existing programs. And if you vote for the incumbents in these races, then you're voting for the status quo. They sugarcoat things, everything's fine, nothing to see here. And we have serious issues, and it's time to get real about it, and it's time to expose it. And the only way you can do that, sunshine is the best disinfectant. We have to be honest about where's the money going. And they always say, follow the money, find the truth. That's what we need to do in Dallas College at the board level as a fiduciary responsibility. The board should be saying, the spending, you can see the spending is up, building is up, construction is up, enrollment is down. What's going on there? And then talking about student success, that's an empty platitude, because as you said, Dr. Garcia, 9% graduation rate. That's not student success. And I do believe the college is doing a good job of reaching out to students, touching each student to connect with them and ask them what they need. But clearly there's a breakdown, and we're talking about issues that were there long before the pandemic. So they can't use this is what they do in K-12 and at the higher ed level. They use the pandemic as the excuse. Well, the corporate raiders, as Gene talks about, they use the pandemic as the perfect crisis to come in and do more raiding and more predatory opportunities for them. They are partnering with the corporations, but not in the way that you're talking about, which is for opportunities for students. It's actually a profit center in the public funds that come from our tax dollars that are supposed to go to the college, that are supposed to go to the faculty and the students, and clearly that's not the priority. And so you've got a clear choice. I mean, you've got options here, or you can vote for status quo, and the status quo is lying to you about the success of Dallas College.
Okay, I apologize, but we only have time for one more question. So we're gonna have one more question, which will do the same thing we've been doing, and then we'll have a one moment for everyone to make a final statement, sort of sum up your sales pitch. And then we're gonna ask if everyone would stay around for a little while for a little reception with some cookies and some tea or whatever we have back there. So one more question and then closing statements, and then we'll have a little reception. So the last question, how can you work as a trustee to ensure a welcoming environment for LGBTQ students and other marginalized students in pursuit of helping them feel a sense of belonging?
Well, I don't like to single students out in groups so much, because I think all students should be welcome regardless of their sexuality, regardless of their race or ethnicity. So, I mean, if that's happening, I think that it needs to be addressed case by case. It needs to be reported if people are being targeted or singled out. But I also don't think that we should give special protections that other students aren't given. So I do think it should be equal, fair and equal treatment. There's a lot of talk about equity, diversity, and inclusion at the school board level and at the higher ed level. And I found those to be empty platitudes, because they basically hire, they pay a fat salary to an administrator and nothing changes. We've had a DEI department at Dallas College for the last couple of years, and I'm curious, like, where's the fruit in that? Has it led to anything of substance? I don't know. I think it's just an empty platitude, like I said. So students should not be treated differently.
Thank you very much. This school is about, I would say nearly 90%, no, it'll be about 88, not from Dallas County, not born here. So everybody comes in here just a little differently. And I think that if you make a point of really welcoming them, it isn't just saying, hello, how are you, I'm glad you're here. It's also not just letting them register and attend the classes. I think the instructors need to model some sort of forming of groups. I was born and raised in El Paso, Texas. There was a big Air Force base and in addition, Fort Bliss. All the kids that were in school, probably I was the only 100%er of anything. Everybody else was a mixture, because the servicemen married overseas and brought their brides home and then had children. So I grew up understanding that everybody is very different. Everybody is their own gene pool. And as we interact with each other, I think we send signals about whether we think the other person is equal to us or not. And I think there needs to be some educating of administrators and professors about how they feel about teaching diversity. I find it very enriching to be involved in that kind of community. I'm 100% public school educated. Wow, I got to meet so many different people. I didn't just meet all Latinos or all Catholics or all anything. It was always a beautiful experience for me to see other thoughts. We don't have that kind of attitude here, I don't believe. And I think that's really what makes people uncomfortable. You do have to do a bit of outreach when somebody isn't all the same. It needs to be not just the gender situation, it needs to be any of the differences. So I think it all begins with educating the staff, the support staff, the professors, because Dallas College has a wonderful possibility of making the county, through its strength, through producing educated people in all areas of life, in all functions. That kind of a growth could really make this the economic center of the city and the country. It all has to do with acceptance. And I don't believe it's too hard to learn acceptance if we don't think our way is the only way. Thank you.
Thank you. I like what you said about produce educated people, because I think that's what our goal here is, to produce educated people. And diversity, equity, and inclusion is an important part of that. And as we are taught, you know, from many ages when we're young, we grew up playing with everybody. No one was really excluded. When I was growing up, we played with everyone. So we learn these differences as we get older, but it's important that we know that differences is what makes our world interesting. Differences is why we have the different religions, the different places. I'm a realtor. Fair housing is part of my life every day. when I show a home or people ask me, you know, what area of town should they live in, it's like, first question is, what's your budget? You know, as far as where you want and what your needs are. But it's important. We are working on this. We continue to work on it. I think we will always be working on this because different people have different ideas, different beliefs. Some are more sensitive to others. You know, trying to be equitable and inclusive is extremely important, I think. And wanting to be a part of these people and all of us. We're all people, you know, be a part of all of us and treat each other fairly. That's important to me. And I think it should be important for our staff and our students and the faculty. And I think it already is, from what I've seen, that people are treated fairly.
Yeah, this was a topic back in 2016 too. At the time, the bathroom issue was a big issue. I remember we got a question of it over in the hall that day. You know, do you support letting men in women's bathrooms? No. You know, this is an agenda. This is an agenda. It's a social reengineering agenda that's being heavily pushed by the media in a conspiratorial fashion. It's in all the schools. We do not need an office of inclusion to push this agenda. We don't need to be wasting money on that. Let me tell you a personal story just to highlight this. I have a very close friend that I worked with for many years at Brookhaven. She's now a professional nurse. Her daughter goes to Plano ISD. Okay, they get constant LGBTQ agendas up there. Her daughter comes home the other day, 16 years old, and she informs her parents that she's a lesbian. Is that what we want? You know, this isn't free choice. This is indoctrination. This is brainwashing. You know, I read a statistic one time that in schools now they do polls and they say that like 25 or more % of the students there now identify them as gender other or gender neutral. That's not healthy for our society. Nobody needs to be involved in pushing this agenda, and it's very bad for our society. No, I'm definitely not in favor of discriminating against anybody if that's the way they want to live their lives, but we're not going to turn society upside down. We're not going to turn this institution upside down to make everybody believe what they believe, right? You should have the freedom of choice to believe what you want to believe. Don't discriminate against them, but don't turn your society upside down to accommodate them and push their agenda, more importantly.
Okay, Mr. Ritter.
Well, you know, having a welcoming environment and treating people fairly, you know, these are issues of great importance to the board. In fact, they're part of our strategic plan. You know, this issue plays out on a couple different levels. It plays out in our workforce and the type of environment that we have in Dallas College. It plays out in hiring. It plays out in contracting. And you know, the board's role is to assure that everybody has got a chance to thrive, to do business with, and if they want to come work at Dallas College. And we follow those metrics closely, and it's really, really important to us. The question was about the LGBTQ community specifically, and I would offer, you know, in that context and also in other dimensions of diversity, one of the most important things we can do is create an atmosphere and networks of peer support so that people who have been marginalized and discriminated against feel that, you know, hey, there's other people like me here and I'm okay and I've got a safe place where I can pursue my education. And then, you know, share that diversity within the institution. I mean, one of the most important assets of Dallas College is our diversity. And one of the best things that we do is share that diversity with each other and celebrate it and experience it with each other. And so I hope and believe that is happening at the college. I mean, a lot of that occurs right here at the campus level. And so, you know, everybody should feel that they have and can be a part of the Dallas College experience.
Institutional solutions are tough because they have to address all kinds of things. And I think when you can live who you are and look people in the eye and live a philosophy of being, of accepting everybody for who they are, wherever they are. My daddy was a preacher, and all God's children is kind of the way I like to life is. You were all created for a reason. But from where I would like to sit as a trustee and what I could do to create that welcoming environment is live my life so that I radiate inclusion, when I radiate warmth and acceptance and understanding. It gets back to that listen, then learn, and lead. So it's personal modeling, little behavior. You make rules, and you need to make rules because you need to have guidelines. But I think from a trustee position, it's who we are every day, what we look like every day. It says it's something you believe in.
Okay, thank you, thank you. I think we're going to have one final closing statement from each of you, and then we'll have a little reception, and hopefully y'all can hang around for a few minutes for that to speak to people on an individual basis. So, would you like to go ahead and start?
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I listened. I learned a lot today. As a rookie, or potential rookie on the board, it's a steep learning curve, and I enjoyed my conversations before. I enjoy the conversations afterwards. I think there's a great opportunity to bridge some gaps. I think there's obviously some disparity that's been created, some communication that's been, some lack of trust issues that have gone on because of the changes. I've seen college over 30 years, and I've seen the last several years talk to people sit in backward positions, and trust is not as it should be. And one of the things that I would work hard to do is, to the extent that I can, bring that trust back, bring that listening back, bring that learning back, lead from that. It's tough when you're this big and just have this many factions, but I think you can do it a person at a time. I think we're disconnected from some of the communities. Dr. Garcia had mentioned connecting to the business community. That's why I live with the employers. I think education and employers have a lot of opportunity. The workplace in the future is going to be extremely different. The workforce of the future is going to be very different. There's a whole lot of coming together. There's a whole lot of education that's to happen with employers to make it that welcoming environment for the people that are going to be expected to work. Students need to understand that, and education needs to understand that. So that's where my heart is.
Well, I think the question for the voters in this election is, what do you want Dallas College to be? I believe Dallas College should serve the entire community. Certainly the traditional learners that have come here to get a 2-year degree and move on to upper division higher education, absolutely. That's something that we do and we need to continue to do. But we need to also break down this idea of, okay, it's your student and your student and your student, and everybody's separate. And that's what our early college and our partnerships with ISDs represent, and they're incredibly successful. We need to be looking at adult learners. We have a program at Dallas College called Work Ready U that serves adults in their late 20s, their 30s, their 40s who want to upskill so that they can get a better paying job and go into a high demand area like healthcare or construction management or culinary arts or any one of the many disciplines that we teach here at Dallas College. And then finally, we need to focus on our senior citizens. And here at Richland College, under the leadership of President Eggleston, you guys created the Emeritus program, which serves seniors. And it's a manifestation of the commitment of Dallas College to lifelong learning, and seniors are amongst the fastest growing segment of our population. So from those who are in our school districts and who are prepared and want to make a choice to go to college, on through our seniors, we need to be serving the whole community, and I'm going to be focused on all those segments of our community and those that we serve. Thank you.
When I first began my career here at Richland, the very first college course I took was in a classroom on the second floor of Sabine Hall. I still remember my instructor very well. I had the honor of coming back years later after I had acquired my master's degree and teaching a course one semester in that very same classroom. That I want to tell you that I come from your background. I am you. I was a student with you all, and I've been an instructor with you all. And I have seen the changes that this district has gone through for the past 45 years. It was a really good institution. it focused on education. It had smart people running at the top that were conscientious about education. It's not that way now. My entire foreign language program was destroyed at Brookhaven to make room for the early college high school. Your ESL program has been destroyed. I could go on and on and on about the instructors that have been forced out of this district. I know that you all are facing one-year contracts now. Joe May, brilliant decision, right? What does that tell you? The direction administration is going in here. It's going in the wrong direction. Okay, you all have an ability to turn that around right now on May the 7th. Tell your friends, tell your colleagues, get out and vote on May the 7th. Vote in District 1, in District 2, and in District 3, and make a big step toward turning the future of this college around and your jobs around too. I'll close with a very telling story, very quickly. Richard McCreary was our president at Brookhaven back when the very first layoffs were first discussed. He came to our professional support staff meeting one day, and he said, okay, we're in a budget cut, we got another budget cut here, you know, we're in a budget crisis year. You guys, you're gonna have to either take a pay cut or face layoffs, and what we want you to do is work more hours for the same pay. And I raised my hand and I said, Richard, we're willing to do that. We're willing to chip in and do our part to save this college. Is administration willing to take an equal pay cut? His answer was no, we're not. Okay, folks, on May 7th, I'm back here again 6 years preaching the same story to you all. On May 7th, you got a chance to turn that around. Take it.
I'm the new trustee this year, and it has been my honor to serve, and I want to continue to serve. And I think that it's easy to criticize things that you don't have in-depth knowledge of, and we do continue to audit, to check things. We are very cognizant of taxpayer money. We are very careful, and I think some people don't feel that we are. But in fact, that's not true, in my opinion. And so I think that on May 7th, it is your choices, you know, on who you will vote for. And I think we've been called status quo, but we are here to see that things move forward, that the wonderful programs that Dallas College is thought of as one of the best in the state of Texas and in the country. We continue to move forward with these great programs that have brought us attention and national attention, but that's not our goal. Our goal is to have student success, because it is about the students, the faculty that teaches and does the students, and the staff that maintains all this. So, you know, born and raised in Dallas, I said I'm best in Dallas. I work for my family. I started working at 13. This is all volunteer. I like to help people. That is one of the things that gives me pleasure, is helping others, whether it's a first-time homeowner or someone else, you know, that's looking for a home, or whether it's helping my community. Education is my passion. I'm very, very devoted to this, and I will do a great job for you.
Thank you. I don't know how many of you are aware, but I was educated on your dime. I started kinder in a public school, and I ended in medical school in a public school. And I did my residency in a public hospital. I have been involved in service to the community and the public my entire life. It is indeed my passion, service. And I don't believe that what has happened in these changes the last 2 years is entirely the problem. If you go back to the scoreboard for colleges of the Department of Education of the United States of America, 61% of students withdrew in the 8-year period. 29% transferred. That's a positive, but only 9% graduated. I want to continue to serve the public by changing this. There has been shrinkage in the number of students coming to the colleges, all of them. But there's been a tremendous increase in Latinos who are coming into these colleges. So part of my devotion to this is self-interest. I'm getting older. I want workers out there who are moving up the ranks, increasing their tax base, paying into the treasury that I intend to withdraw from. It's very important that we educate the public, and that the better job you have, the more income you make, the more taxes you pay. This country needs an educated workforce, or it will not survive. We will not survive on an underclass that only works in entry-level jobs. This is a country issue, not just a county issue. That is why I will continue to work for you and make certain that we have young people who finish 9%. That's a crime. And it isn't just the money, it's the effort that went into these by the individuals trying to get in college and trying to stay there, and they can't. And also the teachers, the professors. It is very frustrating to have this kind of number come through. And I intend to work as hard as I can. I'm retired now. And they call me the Energizer Bunny where I was working. So I will be on this. We need to increase the graduation level. Thank you.
Well, I have to say that I don't really operate on feelings. It really is on facts. And I've done a tremendous amount of work studying the issues at Dallas College and what I can do to transfer the skills that I've developed in researching the K-12 issues, which are now coming into the higher education issues. I have the right background for that. And that's at the state level. I've advocated against bad bills. A lot of these bills that you see, even this new community college bill, that these are backdoor privatization tools that are used at the legislature and then they roll down. And a lot of those bad bills come from the commit partnership, which is kind of the elephant in the room. They're the engine behind Dr. Joe May and why you saw so many changes that came in and you couldn't really quite put your finger on what was really going on. I implore you to research the commit partnership. And then I know that trustees they fall in one of two categories. They either use positions like this as a springboard to higher office, which watch for that. They do that at Dallas ISD and Richardson ISD, and then or they come and they stay forever, like Diana Flores, who's been there since 1996. I've had kids and now they're adult children since she's been on there. So I think that this role as a trustee, and we didn't really talk too much about what a trustee really is supposed to do as a fiduciary responsibility, but is to hold the chancellor responsible for their job. And that was not happening for the last at least 6 to, I don't know, maybe 20 years, listening to what Gene has said. So I think it's important, and this is a nonpartisan role, and you have candidates on both ends of the spectrum who are saying, the political spectrum, who are saying the same things. I think this is a real opportunity for us to come together on issues that have to do with academics and what is the purpose of Dallas College. And if we're not being honest about what's happening in K-12 and then we're having to deal with remediation at the higher ed level, we've got a major issue, and our media is not being honest about it, and our trustees are not being honest about it. And I'm not here for happy talk, and I know it may sound negative. I actually want positive change, and I want to be able to come in and move this college forward and do it for the faculty, do it for the students, and for the whole reason we're here is to educate and better we want an educated populace and to better our communities. And so hope you'll vote for me, Lynn Davenport. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, very, very much. Your time and commitment, whether you end up on the board or not, we appreciate your devotion to the students and the residents of Dallas County. And so that's going to wrap it up today. Hope you'll be able to hang around for a few minutes to have a little private conversation. And once again, thank you.